It's the end of the last week in May 2025. We went from exploring with the Dark Energy Spectroscopic Instrument to sampling Miso made on board the International Space Station before learning about glass manufacture on the Moon and how that could power future colonies. Let's take a deep dive. I'm here at the Australian Space Summit and Exhibition, a two-day event held in Sydney, providing two main stages of panel discussions focusing on the space and defence industries, hosting over 70 speakers on a myriad of topics from diversity in the sector to hypersonic technologies. I've got to tell you about the stories of the week, so let's get it started with Dark Energy. A QUT Cosmologist is part of an international research team that's published an analysis that shines new light on dark energy and suggests the standard model of how the universe works may need an update. Dr. Rossana Ruggeri from the QUT School of Chemistry and Physics, who studies the properties of the universe on the largest scales, is part of the Dark Energy Spectroscopic Instrument, or DESI, which is an international experiment with more than 900 researchers from over 70 institutions around the world, including QUT, Swinburne University and the University of Queensland here in Australia, and is managed by the US Department of Energy's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. DESI used millions of galaxies and quasars to build the largest 3D map of our universe to date. Combining its data with other experiments shows signs that the impact of dark energy may be weakening over time, and the standard model of how the universe works may need an update. The fate of the universe hinges on the balance between matter and dark energy, the fundamental ingredient that drives its accelerating expansion. Taking alone, DESI's data is consistent with our standard model of the universe, lambda cold dark matter, where CDM is that cold dark matter, and lambda represents the simplest case of dark energy, where it acts as a cosmological constant. However, when paired with other measurements, there are mounting indications that the impact of dark energy may be weakening over time, and other models may be a better fit. Those other measurements include the light left over from the dawn of the universe, the cosmic microwave background, or CMB, supernovae, and how light from distant galaxies is warped by gravity or weak lensing. Miso made in space has a nuttier, more roasted flavour than miso made on Earth, according to international researchers who sent a small container of fermenting soybeans and salt, the ingredients for the traditional Japanese condiment, to the International Space Station. Motivated by curiosity surrounding the food options available to astronauts and how microbial communities evolve in space, the researchers set forth to test whether food fermentation was possible, and if so, how foods fermented in space would taste compared to their counterparts made on Earth. The ingredients spent 30 days fermenting in the space station before returning to Earth to be compared with two batches of miso made at the same time in the lab on Earth. Analysis found that the ISS miso fermented successfully, but that there were notable differences in the bacterial communities present, and that the ISS fermented condiment had a more roasted, nutty flavour than the Earth miso, while still maintaining the classic salty umami flavour that we know and love. They say music is the universal language of humankind, but some stars in our galaxy exhibit their own rhythm, offering fresh clues into how they and our galaxy have evolved over time. A new study led by UNSW Sydney researchers into a cluster of stars 2,700 light years away reveals their stages of evolution through the sounds they make. This discovery will allow scientists to map the history of the Milky Way and other galaxies, accelerating knowledge in the field of astrophysics. Dr. Claudia Rees is the lead author of the study, published in Nature magazine, and while undertaking her PhD at the UNSW School of Physics, she studied 27 stars in a cluster called M67. The stars in this stellar cluster were all born from the same cloud of gas 4 billion years ago. She says these stars have similar chemical compositions but different masses, which made them ideal for studying evolution in real time. Noting that while these stars are the same age, it's their mass that gives away how quickly they've evolved. And she adds, M67 is a very special cluster as it includes a broad range of giants, from the smaller, less evolved subgiants to red giants, those being the most evolved of stars. This was the first time that researchers could interrogate the ringing across a cluster of stars to learn more about their interiors. They used the Kepler K2 mission as the primary way to observe, or listen in this case. Dust on the moon, or regolith, could be used one day to make solar panels, according to researchers who say this could allow astronauts to access power on these new space missions without having to cart the heavy equipment from Earth. The team created a substance designed to simulate moon dust, melted it into glass and used it to build a solar cell they say could be more efficient in space than ones made from the Earth's materials. That's because standard glass slowly browns in space, blocking sunlight and reducing efficiency, but moon glass has a natural brown tint from impurities in the moon dust, which stabilises the glass, prevents it from further darkening and makes the cells more resistant to radiation. Making moon glass, the team found, is surprisingly simple. It doesn't require complex purification, and concentrated sunlight alone can provide the extreme temperatures needed to melt lunar regolith into glass. By tweaking the thickness of the moon glass and fine-tuning the solar cell's composition, the team managed to achieve 10% efficiency. With clearer moon glass that lets in more light, they believe this could reach 23%. Still, the moon poses challenges that Earth doesn't. Lower gravity could change how moon glass forms. The solvents currently used to process perovskite won't work in the moon's vacuum, and wild temperature swings could threaten the material's stability. To find out if their moon dust solar cells are truly viable, the team hopes to launch a small-scale experiment to the moon to test them out in real lunar conditions. The Schrödinger Impact Basin is an area of the moon that contains two gigantic canyons that are definitely there whether you look at them or not. And international researchers say they might have found out how these huge valleys were formed. The team suggests that a stream of impacting rocks hitting the area over 10 minutes carved out the 270 kilometre long and 2.7 kilometre deep and 280 kilometre long and 3.5 kilometre deep canyons. The team worked this out by looking at photos of the moon's surface to generate maps, which were used to calculate the flow directions and speed of the debris ejected during the canyon-forming impact event. They add that the energy required to carve out these cuts would have been over 130 times the energy that would be released from the current global stockpile of nuclear weapons. Rather than flying out symmetrically, this work suggests that the majority of the excavated debris was asymmetrically distributed away from the pole. The Schrödinger Impact Basin is near the exploration zone for the upcoming Artemis mission. Thus, these findings could have implications for future lunar missions, potentially including Rover, offering insights into the composition of potential landing sites. The 6th Annual Australian Space Awards brings the who's who of our space industry together to celebrate each other's achievements and congratulate the cream of the crop with a shiny and heavy trophy. Congratulations to all the nominees and especially the winners on their recognition. Well, I tried to get Enrico Palermo, the head of the Australian Space Agency. I tried to get Dr. Catherine Bennell-Pegg, Australia's next astronaut. Tried to get anyone. I ended up with the MC of the event, Mr. Mark Humphreys.
I'm so sorry to let you down. What about Paul Scully-Power? What did he say?
Well, he took his beard and went back to space.
I see, right. Well, I mean, it was terrific to meet Paul Scully-Power tonight because I thought he was the first bearded astronaut in space. Turns out he's the only bearded astronaut to go into space. And so, you know, you can't be what you can't see. He's given me hope that maybe I could be an astronaut.
One day, you two could be on the capsule.
If I just keep this up, I could get there.
Mate, I really appreciate it. It's been a fantastic awards night.
I thought so.
MCing, I think the MC hit it out of the park. I think he was the best out of everyone.
I agree. Objectively, I would agree. So, yes, no, it was a wonderful evening.
And celebrating, of course, the best in the Australian space industry. All these space nerds in there, did you learn anything tonight?
Oh no, I think I actually lost information, but no, they were very intelligent. I wouldn't pretend to know what on earth they're doing, but they seem to be on top of things. So I think we're in safe hands.
Fantastic. Well, and it was great to see our friends at Southern Launch take out Launch Business of the Year as well. Mark, thanks for a little bit of your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
That is a wrap on Talking Science for this week. And of course, daily science and space stories wherever you are on social media. Membership's available at thetrek.zone/support. For now, this is Talking Science, back in the studio next week.